Hey everyone, welcome back. So today is Tuesday. Markets were kind of mixed today a little bit. We'll obviously take a look at that. We'll take a look at markets, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Bitcoin had a wild day today. That's why we have a little rocket there and poop emoji, because it went up like a rocket, got scared and pooped itself and then went back down, basically. We'll also take a look at miners, see how they did. They had pretty much a green day for most of them. A couple were down a little bit today, but we'll take a look at that. And we also have Cleanspark and Iris Energy, massive updates today for their growth. They are growing like crazy. We'll get into the details here as always. And as always, not financial advice. For entertainment only, you know the drill here. I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And I hope you guys enjoy this type of content. If you do, hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. So let's take a look at the markets here really quick. We'll get into Bitcoin next. So S&P 500 was down 0.21%. Dow Jones was down 0.43%. And NASDAQ was actually up today, 0.25%. Which was kind of a good day in the markets, or at least in the NASDAQ, where it's tech heavy. Now, looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's at 19,088, 19,100 right now, roughly. It is kind of trying to bounce up a little bit here from it started out really good this morning. It went up like crazy. It went up to a high of, where did it go? 20,383. And then after that, it basically fell apart. We are still within our triangle here that we drew yesterday, that we're kind of seeing a triangle formation happening. And we have bounced off of the bottom today. We obviously crossed it today, which was kind of an almost perfect cross if you look at it here. We had the crossing line, the triangle crossing our support line at 19,500. We basically went right through that almost. We were shy only a little bit by the hourly chart. So here's the cross right there. We were only off by 2 hours on it. It crossed over it. I wonder if that had any impact on it, that there was a possible cross here. Maybe the bots that are trading saw this and they're like, oh, let's push it up. And then after that, things started falling down. So right around, when was this? Right after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, things started really dropping. This is Central Standard Time. And things have continued to drop. Now we've kind of stabilized a little bit here. We have bounced off of this bottom portion of the triangle quite nicely here, and we are above it, and we'll see if we're going to be basically range bound in this triangle for a little bit before we either bounce off of it or fall even further. Now, looking at the RSI right now is at 39 roughly. We just switched over to the new hour here in the last 5 minutes or so. So if we look at the previous RSI on it was 36. Last one was right around here. We were much lower in price. Then we are higher in price right now. So short term, we're still looking a little bit bullish. However, long term on the daily chart, we're still not there yet. I don't see a flip to being bullish. I think we're still a little bit in the bearish territory, especially if we look at the RSI. So our RSI is at 43 on the 1 hour chart. Last time we were here, we were higher in price. We're still lower in price right now. So it hasn't flipped to be bullish yet. So we might be trading within this triangle here, at least for the next couple of days, and then we'll see when we get to possibly October 1st. This is actually when the triangle surprisingly just kind of formed there. On basically October 1st is when it switches over, and this is where we actually might start going back up. Typically, like we covered yesterday's video, October is typically a pretty good month for Bitcoin as far as price goes. So we'll see if that also plays out this time around or not. But right now we are just kind of in this triangle. We'll see if this triangle holds up. So that's Bitcoin at 19,114 right now. So it's down a little bit, 0.59% on the day. Ethereum pretty much followed suit as well here. It went up quite heavily as well. It's down 0.53% to 1329 right now. If we look at the 1 hour chart on it, we can see it did the same thing here. It peaked and then it kept going up while the RSI kept going down. We saw the same thing here on Bitcoin. We saw it peak here a little bit. RSI continued to slide down while the price was going up, so I was looking a little bit more bullish then, and then we obviously crashed here as well as in Ethereum. So that's Bitcoin and Ethereum in a nutshell. Obviously, like I said, Bitcoin went up like a rocket, but ended up pooping itself, basically got too high, too fast, and we fell back down. Next, obviously, let's take a look at the miners here really quick, and we'll get into the other stories as well. So ANY was down 0.79% today to 45 cents. Argo was up 1.85% to 38 cents. Bit Digital was up 3.42% to $1.21. Bitfarms was up 0.97. They were all much up. They were up higher during the day, but you can see here on the candle, we fell down throughout the day as Bitcoin was falling down in price. So Bitfarms was up 0.97 to $1.04. Cleanspark was up 2.88% to $3.22. I did end up buying some more Cleanspark. I bought another 300 shares of them. Bought another 35 shares of Bitfarms today as well. Dollar cost averaging a little bit more into these companies. Core Scientific was up 0.72% to $1.40. DigiHost was down 3.1% to 70 cents. DMG was up 1.77% to almost 19 cents. Greenedge was up 8.54% to $2.16, so they were way up. Hive was up 3.05% to $3.72. Hut was up 1.17% to $1.73. Iris Energy was up nicely, 5.14% to $3.68. There's obviously news on them. We'll get into that. Luxfolio was up 7.93% to 6 cents, 6.5 cents roughly. Marathon was up 2.71% to $9.87. Boston was up 2.82% to 45 cents. Riot was up 1.94% to $6.83. Soluna was up 4.09 to $1.78. Stronghold was up 2.94% to $1.05. And that is it for the miners there. Okay, so that's the miners. A couple other things. Wait a minute. Did I miss it? I did miss it. A couple other things I wanted to point out to you guys. We still have 544 days left, looks like, until the next Bitcoin halving. It's looking to be possibly around March 25th, somewhere around there. This is obviously just an estimated clock. We'll see if that actually happens. Looking at the hash rate of the network, it has come down a little bit here in the last couple of days. On the average 7-day average, we're at 222 million terahashes. We were up as high as 234, which was our previous high. If we look at the raw values, we are definitely bouncing in there somewhere in between there. So we are still heading in the upward direction with the network hash rate. And that is it. All right. So let's take a look at Iris Energy first. So Iris Energy increases operating capacity to greater than 3.7 exahash. They didn't provide exactly where they are, but we know that they are at least at 3.7 exahash. So today, Iris Energy announced it has increased its operating capacity to exceed 3.7 exahash. They didn't provide, like I said, the exact number, but they are obviously at 3.7 plus. The full energization of 1.4 exahash, 50 megawatts at Prince George, British Columbia was on schedule and marks delivery of the company's third operating site, increasing the company's operating capacity by 60% to 3.7 exahash, which is a huge increase for them and a job well done. This follows the recent full energization of 1.5 exahash, 50 megawatts at the company's second operating site in Mackenzie, British Columbia, Canada, less than 2 months ago. Phase 3 expansion of a further 1 exahash, 30 megawatts at Mackenzie, also remains on track to be energized by the end of Q4, so that's good. So they're going to be growing, increasing the company's expected near-term operating capacity to 4.7 exahash another increase of 1 exahash looks like by the end of the year. And then as previously announced, the initial 1.3 exahash 40 megawatt development is currently planned at Childress, Texas to reach total expected company operating capacity of 6 exahash in 2023. They didn't provide whether it's going to be Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4, sometime in 2023, which is good. And that is it for them. So we'll take a look at the numbers that I have for them, what that actually means for their increase. So let's take a look at Iris here. So Iris right now, last month, for August production updates, we have them at generating 301 BTC here. And that was, let me zoom this in for you guys, try to make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. So 301 BTC for the month of August. That generated about 6.7 million in revenue, which was a huge increase for them from July, which was about 3.3 million. So about double. And I expect that to go up as well here in September. Probably not as much, but in October, I think it's going to be a lot better month as we'll see what their actual hash rate is. We can kind of gauge a little bit better. So looking at July, August, September, where's September? There it is. So to get them to the 3.7 exahash, I have them at 3.759, and this is just an estimate. I don't know exactly where they are until they will provide the numbers for us at the end, sometime coming up in October for September. But just to give you guys kind of a ballpark number here, I put them, or I added these miners being installed here. So we added basically these 4 tranches here of miners being installed to get them to the 3.75 exahash roughly. And that gave us possibly a revenue of 6.8 million. We'll have to see obviously where this comes in. and possibly mining 350 BTC, roughly right around there. That's based on the Bitcoin price of 19,600 or so on the average for the month. That's kind of what we're looking to see if they can get that. Also, I have these miners mining only for 8 days. They reported the news obviously today, but I'm guessing that they had these miners installed probably a couple of days prior to that, before all the information got to them and everything else. So I'm just kind of guessing here 8 days that they were possibly mining with these miners. So that got them to about 6.8 million, like I said, possibly. This is just an estimate. I keep saying that. But when we look at it for October, so for October, if the price stays the same, they don't install anything else in October, they would be at 10.1 million or close to 10.2 million in revenue. So if Bitcoin price stays the same, their hash rate stays the same, nothing changes there. They're obviously going to be mining with those machines longer here. And the big increase is obviously going to be here, the 851 petahash possibly that got installed here along with the rest of them. So that's going to be a huge increase for them, obviously, if that happens. So we're kind of looking at 10.1. If Bitcoin stays where it's at, if Bitcoin goes up, we're possibly looking at maybe 12, 13, depending where Bitcoin ends up at October. And then we'll use the average number for that. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. This is obviously going to change here once we get the update for September. And we'll get this updated and I'll provide you guys the information as always. So right now they are, like I said, 350 BTC, 6.8 million roughly, and then next month possibly over 10 million. So a huge increase obviously from where they were just a couple months ago, where they were only generating 3 million. So that's that is $7 million more in revenue per month for them, if that plays out the way we're looking at to play out. Okay, so that are the miners. Let's take a look at the numbers here, what that's actually going to mean for us. So if we look at the numbers here for this quarter, which ended obviously in September, they're going to be possibly at 16 million in revenue, roughly. This is just an estimate. And then going into the next quarter, they're looking possibly to be at around 30 million, if not higher, depending obviously where Bitcoin ends up at, what they actually end up installing. But based on October being possibly 10 million, then we add that into November, December, we're looking at 30 million. So obviously a huge increase for them from the prior quarters here, double basically where they were. We'll also take a look at their growth here after we cover also Cleanspark, and we'll compare Cleanspark and Iris's growth to the other miners here as well. So we'll do that at the end of the video. But obviously, great job by Iris. My only concern here now is I've been talking about them for a while and my interest in trying to possibly invest in them. My only concern now is they're growing so quickly. I'm hoping that they don't run away from me. Basically, the price starts going up in value. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. We may be in this kind of downtrend where I still might be able to get into it and dollar cost average into them a little bit more than I have been able to. Basically, I haven't been able to right now. I've been dollar cost averaging into Cleanspark and Bitfarm, and as they've been coming down in price, I've been basically putting all that I can into that to get my dollar cost average down. Hopefully, if that stabilizes, I can then start going into Iris Energy as well. It's one of the ones that I want to get into. One other thing that I wanted to point out here. We still don't know. I know they said they want to get to about 6 exahash by the end of, or sometime in the next year. So I think that is basically all of these miners here that we got so far. That's actually at 7 exahash right now that will get them to. And then they still have these miners that they reported as purchasing, but we don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. I'm still trying to see if we can find some details on it. If they actually stop making payments on these, if they cut the contracts on these or whatnot. I do have them still in here to possibly getting them to 15 because that's what they stated earlier this year. Obviously, with everything that's happened with Bitcoin, they did say that they are basically putting a pause on it. But I'm still trying to find the information as far as if they just put a pause on it or if they cancel the contracts basically to purchase those. If they did, that's obviously going to get them way down to where they are going to be at possibly 6, 7 exahash, somewhere around there. Okay, so that's all of Iris. So like I said, great job by them growing. They've been growing like crazy, and I'm hoping that I can still buy into them before they, start going up too high. But we'll have to see. All right, next is Cleanspark. So Cleanspark today announced its Bitcoin mining hash rate has exceeded 4 exahash, increasing over 30% in less than a month. So that is obviously a huge increase for them as well. Here's a quote from him. So our rapid growth clearly indicates where our heads are in terms of market dynamics, said Matthew Schultz, Cleanspark executive chairman. All bear markets eventually end, and this one is no different. We are building the groundwork for significant acceleration when we eventually emerge on the other side of this extraordinary market conditions, which I agree with them. Bear markets do eventually end, whether it's going to be this year, next year, they're going to end. In the meantime, it has been just a great buying opportunity for me, especially in this market. So I've been greedy when others have been fearful. I just have to learn to be fearful when others are greedy. So continuing on here, Cleanspark has 3 fully owned and operated facilities, more than 41,000 Bitcoin mining machines operational, and a daily production high of 16 BTC. So that is a new high for them. A 4th fully owned and operated campus in Sandersville, Georgia will join the Cleanspark ranks when the acquisition is completed in early October and is expected to add 1.4 exahash to the company's hash rate before the year end. So that's also great. So there, if they are, where are they at right now? They are at 4 exahash, so that'll get them to approximately 5.4 exahash. And then Cleanspark maintains its 2022 year-end guidance of 5 exahash and expects to meet its 2023 year-end guidance of 22.4 exahash, and an achievement that would make it one of the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miners in the world, which is true. Obviously, they've been doing a stellar job getting to where they are right now. As you know, we've been covering them for quite a while, since last year, and they basically started mining in 2021, at the beginning of 2021. They got into it, and they are at basically 4 exahash here in a little less than 2 years, which is a huge growth. There have been obviously other companies that have been in the space for a lot longer that haven't even gotten this far yet. So great job by them getting to where they are right now. All right, let's take a look at the spreadsheet that I have for them, see what we can kind of gauge from that. And we'll look at the 2 miners combined to see how they're actually outperforming some of the other miners. So let's take a look at it here. First, we'll take a look at the miners that we installed here. So if we go to September, I installed the 2 tranches here of the 100 terahash miners, got them mining at 8 days for the year, for the month as well, as we don't know exactly how many days they've been on, but I'm just kind of guessing that they were on for maybe 8 days, but we'll play around with the numbers once we actually get the results for September. We also got 2 tranches here installed for 8 days, and then we got a bunch of these 500 tranches installed as well, to get us to I got them at 4027, so 4.02 exahash. They said they are greater than 4, but didn't provide an exact number, so that's kind of where we have them at. Just an estimate right now. And that would get us to a revenue of approximately 9 million right now for the month. There's obviously a little bit, we'll have to see how many days that were actually operational for all of these. And then we do have these here as well for 10 days. What are these? Oh, these are the ones that they bought. Hopefully those got all installed, but we have those basically for 20 days. The rest of them are 30 days, which we have in September, which we only have a couple more days left. But that got us to 9 million in revenue. That would generate approximately 462 Bitcoin at 19,600 average price. So we're just using an average price. We'll actually have to see where Bitcoin ends up for the month and use the average price for that to figure out what they could possibly mine. But that's kind of where I'm at right now with that. Now, going into October, if these numbers stay the same, Bitcoin price stay the same, they don't install anything else in September, we could be at about almost 11 million in revenue if Bitcoin just stays the same, and they're able to mine for the 31 days in October. So that's obviously a nice increase as well. From their, let me see here, from their July, they were at 8.2 million. So they've been steadily, healthily growing their revenue each month here along with their hash rate. But that's kind of where we got them at right now. We'll see, like I said, when the numbers come in for September, we'll get this updated, and I'll provide the information to you guys as well. So right now we're looking at September possibly around 26 million in total revenue for the quarter. And then we're looking at the next quarter, they'll be obviously at or above close to 35 million, I'm guessing, maybe 40 million, depending on what they get installed in November and December timeframe. That's and where Bitcoin goes, right? So if Bitcoin goes down, we could obviously see this being less, but I don't think Bitcoin's going to go down too much further. We could go down to maybe 17,000. That's nonetheless is going to drive obviously the price down and the revenue down as well. But if Bitcoin goes up, we could obviously see a lot higher number there as well. Now, that would be, so that's the numbers here that we're talking about. And let me see here. What else do they have left? So right now, they are I have them at 6.4 exahash with everything that they have purchased here. So they're supposed to get about 557 petahash from the closing of the facility in Georgia that they purchased from Austin. And they obviously bought miners in 1,000 miners as well. So that would get them the 1.4, 1.5, whatever they're saying that they're going to get to. So we still have these. And then we also have the XP Pros that they are, what do we have here? And then these are immersion cooled as well. So that's possibly a 20, 25% increase, if not 30% increase in hash rate as well. Those still have to get installed. We'll see if they start getting these in. They were supposed to get these in August. I don't know if they got any of those. I have not seen any reports on that. And we still have quite a few other miners to get them to that. So they still have quite a bit of growth here this year. And then obviously for next year, if they want to get to 22.4, that's basically another, what is that? Another 16, 16 exahash that they have to grow basically to get them to that point. So that's a lot of growth that's going to have to happen next year. And we'll have to see obviously if they have to get dilution or something like that to fund the growth, or if they're able to fund it all from the sale of Bitcoins each month. So that'll be interesting. Also, obviously the stock is down. We covered this yesterday that the stock is way down compared to the other miners from the lows in June, partially because, they have a small hodl, which I'm fine with. I'm actually thankful that they have a small hodl right now, and they're using their funds to grow the hash rate, build out infrastructure, everything else. But I think the reason the stock is down is maybe because obviously the share-based compensation for the management team, that may have played a little role here in taking the stock down possibly way too much. People have, I think, overreacted on that part, especially when Bitcoin starts going back up. They're going to be making a lot of money from it. So just my 2 cents, obviously not financial advice. Do your own research as always before you invest in anything, but that's kind of my thinking on it. But let's get into the numbers here as far as how much they've grown compared to other miners as well. So here's Cleanspark. Cleanspark started out the year in the beginning of January at basically 2 exahash. They are now at 4 exahash. That's a 2x growth here in basically 9 months. So they've grown approximately 2 exahash here compared to some of the other miners, along with Iris. Iris has grown even better. They've grown almost 3 exahash here this year. They started out at 805 petahash this year, and they've been just doing a fantastic job as well. And like I said, this is one of the reasons why I'm really interested in investing in them as well. Like I said, I'm hoping that it doesn't run away from me before I can do that. But we'll see. So obviously, they're up 3 exahash this year. And then we're waiting, obviously, for the updates for the other miners. We'll see where they end up. But as of August numbers, the only one that's close to them is Bitfarms. Bitfarms is up 1.5 exahash. Argo is up 1.3. Core, obviously, is up huge. They're up 5. They're probably going to be up another exahash here in September. So they're going to be up 6. I mean, they're in a league of their own right now. DigiHost is only 182 petahash. DMG is up 267 petahash. Greenage is up 1 exahash. Hive is only 431. Hut is 841. Iris is up huge. Obviously, Mara is actually down. They started at 3.4 exahash. They're at 3.2 at the end of August. They've had nothing but problems, but yet the stock has been doing fantastically well, surprisingly, with all the problems that they're having. But it is what it is. And who else do we have here? Mawson. Mawson is up 603 petahash. Then you got Riot. Riot is also in that class here, 1.3. We'll see what they actually provide in September, so that might be a pretty good number for them. Soluna is up only 241 petahash. So you can see here, Cleanspark, Iris, Bitfarms, Riot, those guys are all doing great, along with Argo. They're growing like crazy. But some of them are not just getting the love that they should, like Cleanspark and Iris, I think, should be doing a lot better, along with Bitfarms. But it could be that, like we talked about yesterday's video, that Huddle is actually saving some of these other stocks or miners like Mara, Riot from going down below their June lows. So it is what it is. While the price is way down, I think this is just a great buying opportunity, but that's just me. You have to do your own research. You have to figure out what you want to invest in. This is not financial advice, as always, but this is kind of the way I see things. And let me know if you guys agree or if you guys don't agree. I think eventually, once Bitcoin starts going back up, these miners are definitely going to get rewarded for it, for their growth here, especially in the bear market. And then we'll see what things are like next year. Obviously, we still have a long ways to go before the halving event. That's going to play a role into it as well. Once we get closer to it, I would expect Bitcoin to start slowly going back up. Obviously, the supply of Bitcoin is going to get cut in half. So we're at 6.25 right now. We're going to go down to basically 3 and some change in Bitcoin rewards. So there's going to be a huge shock in the supply. That should lead to price going up in the future. So that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. Helps me out. Subscribe as well. And the spreadsheet is going to be available to my Patreon members. As always, thank you to everyone there for their continued support. Love you all, guys. Love you all. Love you all for watching. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, bye.